The security guards at the main gate of Zenith Towers in Banana Island had seen everything. They had seen politicians weep in their cars and celebrities fight in the rain. But they had never seen a sight that made them freeze in their boots like this one. Jessica, the untouchable CFO of Zenith Oil, the woman whose perfume alone cost more than their annual salaries, was on her knees. She wasn't praying. She wasn't fixing her shoe. She was kneeling in the red mud of the Lekki toll gate, her 500,000 naira bone-straight wig dragging in the dirt, clutching the hem of a dirty, faded skirt worn by a street hawker. "Please," Jessica screamed, her voice cracking, stripping away all her polished British accent. "Take it! Take everything! Just tell him to stop!" The street hawker looked down. Her face was gaunt, her skin darkened by months of relentless Lagos sun. She balanced the tray of sashing water on her head. She didn't speak. She just looked at the woman who, 3 days ago, had told her to go and die. The urban setting. To understand how a queen became a beggar, you have to understand Lagos. This city doesn't just chew you up, it grinds your bones to make pavement for the rich. It was a Tuesday in Victoria Island, the kind of day where the heat rises from the tarmac like a physical slap. The air smelled of exhaust fumes, roasting plantain, and aggressive ambition. Generators hummed their constant low-frequency song from behind high fences, topped with electric wire. SUVs with tinted windows, Land Cruisers, G-Wagons, Range Rovers pushed through the traffic like sharks in a school of fish. Inside those cars, the air was crisp, chilled to 18 degrees, scented with vanilla. Outside, on the street, the heat index was pushing 38 degrees. The humidity made clothes stick to skin like second-hand guilt. In this divide, 2 women existed. One lived in the AC, the other lived in the heat. The characters. Faith used to be the one in the AC. At 28, she was a first-class accounting graduate from Unilag. She was the youngest senior auditor Zenith Oil had ever hired. She had a smile that made clients trust her instantly and a brain that could spot a missing naira in a haystack of millions. Now, Faith was invisible. She wore a faded Ankara gown that had seen better years, not days. Her slippers were held together by frantic hope and superglue. Her lips were cracked from dehydration because she couldn't afford to drink the water she was selling. Then there was Jessica. Jessica was Faith's best friend, or she had been. Jessica was the kind of beauty that required maintenance. Her skin glowed with the help of 150,000 naira facials. Her nails were always done. Acrylic talons painted the color of dried blood. She drove a 2024 Mercedes G-Wagon, the engine pairing with a deep, throaty growl that vibrated in your chest. They had started together. They studied together. They prayed together. But Jessica wanted the corner office, and she realized the fastest way to get there wasn't to climb the ladder. It was to kick the ladder away while Faith was standing on it. Faith wiped sweat from her head. The traffic light at the toll gate turned red. This was her window. "Pure water! Cold pure water!" she croaked. A tinted window on a black G-Wagon rolled down. Faith rushed over, hoping for a sale. The cold air hit her face first, then the smell of expensive leather. Jessica sat in the driver's seat. She lowered her designer sunglasses. She wasn't buying water. She was holding a phone, recording. "Look at you," Jessica laughed, the sound sharp and bright like broken glass. "I told you, didn't I? I told you that your holiness will lead to hunger." Faith froze. The tray on her head wobbled. "Jessica," Faith whispered, "please, I haven't eaten since yesterday." Jessica smirked. She reached into her Chanel bag and pulled out a crisp 1,000 naira note. Faith reached for it, her hand trembling. Jessica dropped the money, not into Faith's hand, but into the gutter running with black sludge beside the car. "Oops," Jessica said, her eyes dead cold. "Go fetch. That's where you belong now." Then she sped off, splashing muddy water all over Faith's only sellable goods.
Hey, sorry to interrupt your listening for just a moment. If this story is speaking to you so far, I'd be really grateful if you'd subscribe and support the channel. It helps me keep creating more stories like this for you. Thank you.
The nightmare had started 4 months ago inside the Zenith Tower's boardroom. It was the Monday morning strategy meeting. The air conditioner was humming, chilling the glass-walled room to a crisp temperature that contrasted sharply with the tropical heat outside. 12 executives sat around the mahogany table. Faith sat with her laptop open, ready to present the quarterly audit. She felt good. The numbers were perfect. Jessica sat opposite her, tapping a silver pen against her notepad. She smiled at Faith, a tight, predatory smile that didn't reach her eyes. The CEO, Mr. Johnson, cleared his throat. Faith, before you begin, there's a matter regarding the pension accounts. Jessica leaned forward. Actually, sir, I think Faith should explain why Naira 50 million was routed to a private account linked to her BVN this morning. The room went silent. You could hear the hum of the projector fan. What? Faith stood up, her chest scraping loudly against the marble floor. That's impossible. I didn't. The logs don't lie, babes, Jessica said, her voice dripping with full sympathy. She spun her laptop around. On the screen was a transfer authorization. It had Faith's digital signature. I didn't sign that, Faith cried, her hands shaking. Mr. Johnson, you know me. I've worked here for 5 years. And apparently that was long enough to get comfortable stealing. Is it because of your wedding? Did you need money to impress Daniel? Shut up, Faith snapped. Security. Jessica didn't even raise her voice. She just snapped her fingers. 2 uniformed guards entered. They didn't look at Faith's face. They looked at Mr. Johnson. The CEO looked away. Escort her out. And Faith, the police are on their way. You are making a mistake, Faith screamed as the guards grabbed her arms. The only mistake, Jessica said, smoothing her skirt, was hiring a thief. Faith felt the blood drain from her head. Her legs felt like water. She looked at Jessica, searching for a joke, a prank, anything. She saw only triumph. She didn't fight the guards. The shock paralyzed her. Her throat closed up, choking back the sob that wanted to rip her chest open. God, please, she thought. Wake me up. The HR manager, a woman Faith had shared lunch with for 3 years, looked down at her iPad. The intern, David, stared with his mouth open, terrified. Someone whispered, I always knew she was too quiet. It's the quiet ones you fear. Phones were already out under the table. Messages were flying on the company Slack channel. Faith just got arrested. 50 million naira. Can you imagine? Faith was dragged through the lobby, past the receptionist who used to greet her with smiles. Now they watched with wide, judging eyes. She was thrown out the front glass doors. She stumbled, catching herself on the concrete pillar. The humid Lagos air hit her like a wall. She had no bag, no car keys, no dignity left. Behind the glass, she saw Jessica standing on the mezzanine floor, watching. Jessica raised her hand and gave a small, mocking wave.
2 days after the arrest and bail, paid by her weeping mother, Faith went to see Toby. Toby was her fiancé. They were supposed to get married in December. She arrived at his apartment in Surulere around 7 p.m. The generator was running. She knocked on the door, her heart pounding. She needed a hug. She needed him to tell her it would be okay. The door opened, but it wasn't Toby. It was Jessica. She was wearing one of Toby's oversized t-shirts. Her hair was messy in a way that suggested she hadn't just arrived. You? Faith breathed, stepping back. What are you doing here? Jessica leaned against the door frame, picking at a fingernail. Comforting him, someone had to. The poor man is devastated that his wife-to-be is a criminal. Let me speak to him. She tried to push past. Jessica blocked her with a stiff arm. He doesn't want to see you, Faith. He hates thieves. Toby! She screamed past her. Toby, please! Toby appeared behind Jessica. He looked tired. He looked at Faith like a stranger. Is it true? Toby asked. No. Toby, you know me. The evidence is there, Faith, he said, his voice flat. Jessica showed me everything. The transfers, the chats. What chats? She forged them. Go away, Faith. I can't marry a fraudster. My reputation, my family. Here, she reached into her pocket. She pulled out the engagement ring Faith had returned to Toby for safekeeping during the police investigation. She slid it onto her own finger. It fits perfectly. We don't want it to go to waste, since you paid for it with stolen money anyway. Faith felt her heart physically crack. It wasn't a poetic metaphor. It was a sharp pain in the center of her chest. She looked at the ring on Jessica's finger. The ring she had prayed over. She didn't scream. She couldn't. She just nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face in hot, silent tracks. So this is how it ends, she thought. Not with a bang, but with a betrayal. The neighbor, Mama Chinedu, was sweeping her balcony next door. She stopped sweeping. She watched Faith standing in the hallway broken. Man, Mama Chinedu muttered to herself, shaking her head. But she didn't interfere. In Lagos, you mind your business if you want to live long. The door slammed in her face. She heard the lock click, then the bolt, then laughter from inside. She walked down the stairs in the dark because the bulb on the landing was burnt out. She walked out into the street. It started to rain. She didn't seek shelter. She let the rain soak her, hoping it would wash away the pain. It didn't.
3 weeks later, Faith's bank accounts were frozen. Her company car was repossessed. She was living in her company-rented apartment, waiting for the inevitable. It happened on a Saturday morning. The estate security, usually friendly men who hailed her as Madam, were banging on the door. Madam, open up! Order from Zenith Towers. Faith opened the door. Jessica was standing there, flanked by 4 large security guards and a terrifying-looking lawyer. Eviction notice! Jessica waved the paper. Effective immediately. But I have until the end of the month, Faith stammered. She was wearing old sweatpants. She looked thin. Clause 4B, Jessica smiled. Criminal conduct terminates the lease instantly. Get her stuff out, now! Please, Jessica, Faith begged. I have nowhere to go. My mother is sick. Please, just give me 2 days. Boys, Jessica ignored her, turning to the guards. Anything she bought with company money stays. That includes the TV, the furniture, and... Oh, those shoes look expensive. Leave those too. The guards pushed past Faith. They started grabbing her bags. They threw her clothes over the balcony railing. My Bible! Faith gasped as a guard grabbed her nightstand. Trash it, Jessica ordered. Clearly, it didn't help her much. Faith stood in the center of the living room as men ripped her life apart. She clutched a photo of her late father to her chest. It was the only thing she fought to keep. She felt like a ghost haunting her own life. I am nothing, she thought. I am dust. Down in the estate compound, neighbors gathered. Children pointed at the clothes raining down from the 3rd floor. Is that not Faith? Yes, so the estate should stop billion. Ah, see her life, from grace to grass. Someone brought out a phone and started recording the eviction. The video would be on Instablog Nigeria by evening. Faith was left standing at the estate gate with 2 Ghana must-go bags containing her clothes. Her phone buzzed. It was a notification from a friend. Faith, is this you on Twitter? She looked at the screen. The video of her clothes being thrown out was trending. The caption read, Zenith CFO cleans house, saying no to corruption. She had no money for a taxi. She started dragging the bags toward the bus stop. Faith's mother, Mama Faith, collapsed 2 weeks later. High blood pressure. Faith rushed her to the general hospital because private care was now a dream. The waiting room was packed. It smelled of antiseptic and fear. Faith stood at the pharmacy counter, holding a prescription. "The bill is 45,000 naira," the pharmacist said. Faith checked her purse. She had 4,200 naira. "Please, sir, can I pay small? My mother is dying." "No credit," the man said, turning away. Suddenly, a voice cut through the noise. "Is there a problem here?" Jessica walked in. She wasn't sick. She was there for a charity photo op with the hospital board. She was wearing a white suit that looked like it repelled death by spiritual mandate. "Jessica," Faith grabbed her arm. "Please, my mother, she needs medication, just 45,000 naira. I'll pay you back, I swear." Jessica looked at Faith's hand on her white sleeve. She looked at it like a cockroach. "Don't touch me," Jessica hissed. She brushed the spot where Faith had touched her. "It's Mama. You know Mama. She cooked for us in university." "That woman raised a thief," Jessica announced loudly. The whole waiting room turned. "Why should I help her survive to breed more criminals?" Jessica turned to the pharmacist. "If you give this woman anything on credit, I will ensure this hospital loses the Zenith Oil donation. Do you understand?" "Yes, ma," the pharmacist said, terrified. Faith felt the air leave her lungs. Her mother was groaning on a bench nearby. Faith looked at Jessica, searching for a trace of humanity. There was none, just a black hole where a soul used to be. Faith didn't curse. She didn't fight. She just bowed her head, tears dripping onto the dirty tiled floor. A nurse in the corner wiped her eyes. A man with a broken leg shook his head. "Wickedness," the man muttered. "Pure wickedness." But nobody offered to pay. 45,000 naira was a lot of money in this economy. They pitied her, but they feared their own poverty more. Faith had to sell her phone, her last connection to the world, for 15,000 naira just to buy the basic stabilizer. It wasn't enough for the full treatment. She sat by her mother's bed that night, listening to her labored breathing in a ward without electricity. 2 months later, Faith was living in a zinc shack in Obalende. She had started selling sachet water to survive. It was the only job that didn't ask for a background check. She was at the CMS bus stop. It was rush hour. The chaos was deafening. She was running between cars. "Pure water! Gold water!" A familiar car horn blasted, the custom horn of a G-Wagon. Traffic was at a standstill. Jessica's car was right there, but she wasn't alone. She was with Toby, Faith's ex-fiancé. They were eating ice cream. Faith tried to hide behind the yellow Danfo bus, but Jessica saw her. "Hey, water girl!" She waved the 500 naira note. Faith needed the money. Pride is expensive. Hunger is cheap. She walked over. "2 sachets," Jessica ordered. Faith handed them over. Toby wouldn't look at her. He kept his eyes on the dashboard. "Is it cold?" She touched the sachet. "It's warm, just like your filter." She squeezed the sachet hard. It burst. Water sprayed all over Faith's chest and face. "Oops!" Jessica laughed. "Clumsy." She threw the burst sachet at Faith. "Keep the change. Buy some soap. You smell like poverty." Water dripped from Faith's eyelashes. She stood in the middle of the road, shivering despite the heat. "God," she whispered, "are you seeing this, or are your eyes closed?" A bus conductor hanging off a downfall saw it. "Ah, madam, why you wicked like this?" he shouted at Jessica. Jessica just rolled up her window. The tinted glass turned black, erasing her from the world, leaving Faith alone with the fumes. Faith walked back to the curb. She sat on a concrete block and wept. Not for the water, but because Toby, the man who promised to protect her, sat there and ate his ice cream when she was drowning.
Faith got a lead. A small accounting firm in Ikeja was hiring. They didn't check references often. She used her middle name, Chiamaka, on the CV. She spent her last savings on a thrift store blouse. She ironed it with a heated metal pot because she had no iron. She sat in the waiting room rehearsing her answers. She felt a glimmer of hope. The inner door opened. The hiring manager walked out. Walking beside him, laughing, was Jessica. Faith tried to cover her face with her CV, but it was too late. "Faith?" Jessica stopped. Her eyes widened with delight. "What are you doing here?" I have an interview," Faith whispered. She turned to the manager. "Miss Tade, you didn't tell me you were interviewing celebrities." "Celebrities?" Miss Tade asked, confused. "This is Faith, the Zen thief, the N50 million naira girl." Miss Tade's face dropped. "The one on the news?" "The very one," Jessica said. "Check your pockets, sir. She might have stolen your wallet already." Miss Tade snatched the CV from Faith's hands. "Get out. We don't hire criminals." "But I didn't do it," Faith pleaded. "I have a degree. I graduated first class." "A first-class thief is still a thief," Jessica said. "Security, escort this trash out." Faith stood up. Her legs were shaking so hard she had to hold the wall. She looked at Jessica. "Why?" she whispered. "You have my job. You have my man. You have my life. Why won't you let me eat?" Jessica leaned in close, smelling of expensive vanilla perfume. "Because you still have hope in your eyes, and I want to put it out." The receptionist pretended to type. Other candidates moved their bags away from Faith as she walked past, as if failure was contagious. Faith walked from Ikeja to Jota. It took her 3 hours. She didn't feel the distance. She felt nothing. She was hollowed out. It was the first Sunday of the month, Thanksgiving service. Faith hadn't gone to their fancy VI church in months, but her spirit needed it. She sat in the overflow section, hidden in the back, wearing her only clean dress. "It is time for testimonies," the pastor announced. Jessica walked up to the altar. She was wearing a massive hat and holding a gold microphone. The congregation cheered. She was their biggest tither now. "Praise the Lord!" Jessica shouted. "Hallelujah!" the church roared. "I want to thank God for removing the chaff from the wheat," Jessica said, her voice booming over the speakers. "We all know the devil tried to destroy Zenith's towers. He sent a wolf in sheep's clothing, a thief called Faith." Faith shrank into her seat. "But God," Jessica screamed, "God exposed her. God removed the cancer. And since she left, our profits have doubled." "Amen," the crowd shouted. Then Jessica pointed. She actually pointed to the back. "And I see she is here today. The audacity. Faith, stand up." Faith didn't move. "Ushers, please, you are disturbing the spirit. You need to leave." Faith stood up. The walk to the exit felt like walking through fire. Hundreds of eyes bored into her. "Even in your house, God, even here, I am not safe." "Thief," someone whispered. "Shameless," another hissed. The pastor said nothing. He just smiled at Jessica, the woman who had just donated a new church bus. Faith sat on the curb outside the church, listening to the worship music through the walls. It sounded like a party she wasn't invited to. Faith found a day job as a server for a catering company. She was sent to a private event in a luxury apartment in Ikoyi. She wore the black and white uniform. She kept her head down. She walked into the living room with a tray of champagne. "Surprise!" everyone shouted. It was a bridal shower. Jessica's bridal shower. Faith froze. Jessica, wearing a sash that said bride-to-be, turned around. The room went silent. "Well, well," Jessica said, "look who finally knows her place, serving me." Faith tried to turn back, but Jessica grabbed her arm. "Where are you going? We need drinks. Pour." Faith's hands shook as she poured the champagne. A drop spilled onto the marble floor. "You clumsy fool," she shrieked. "That's Italian marble." She pointed to the floor. "Clean it, now." "I'll get a mop,"
Faith said. No, Jessica said. Use your uniform. On your knees. Faith looked at the women in the room. Some were old classmates. They looked away. Faith slowly got to her knees. She used the hem of her shirt to wipe the champagne. Phones were recording. Flashlights blinded her. This is too much, one girl whispered. Shh, another said. Do you want Jessica to ruin you too? Faith ran out of the apartment, leaving the tray. She ran until her lungs burned. She ran until she reached the lagoon. She looked at the dark water. For a second, just a second, she thought about jumping. 3 days before the wedding, Faith was under the bridge at Obalende. It was raining. Her shack was leaking. She had a high fever. Her phone, which she had bought back from a thrift market, had 3% battery. The phone rang. It was Jessica. Hello? Faith answered, her voice raspy. I just wanted to make sure you are alive. Jessica's voice was smooth, drunk on power. My wedding is in 3 days. Toby and I are flying to Paris. Why are you doing this? Faith croaked. You won. I didn't just want to win, Faith. I wanted to destroy you. You were always the smart one, the holy one, the one everyone loved. I wanted to see what you looked like when your God abandoned you. God hasn't abandoned me, Faith whispered. Jessica laughed, a long, cruel sound. Faith, wake up. Your God is too slow. If he was going to save you, he would have done it by now. I am your God now, and I say you suffer. The line went dead. Faith dropped the phone. It clattered on the concrete. The screen went black, battery dead. She curled into a ball on the dirty mattress. The fever was burning her up. She crawled to the edge of the shack where the rain was falling. She put her face in the mud. God, she whispered. Her voice was broken. She said you are too slow. She screamed it. She said you are too slow. Thunder rumbled overhead. Father, if you are real, if you saw my nakedness, if you saw my shame, vindicate me. I don't want money. I don't want my job. I just want one person to believe me. Just one. She cried until she dry heaved. She cried until her eyes swelled shut. She cried until consciousness left her and she passed out in the mud, alone with the sound of Lagos traffic roaring above her like a monster. Faith woke up to the feeling of a shoe nudging her ribs. She flinched, expecting police or area boys. She opened her crusty eyes. A man was standing over her. He was wearing a hooded sweatshirt and jeans, but his sneakers were expensive. It was Daniel. Daniel was the head of IT at Zenith Towers, the quiet guy, the one who wore glasses and never spoke in meetings. Faith? Daniel asked. His voice shook. Faith scrambled back against the damp wall. Go away! I don't have money! I'm not here for money, Daniel said. He crouched down, ignoring the filth on the floor. I'm here because I couldn't sleep. What? 3 nights ago, I had a dream, Daniel said. I saw you in a pit, and I heard a voice say, dig. So I dug. He pulled a laptop out of his backpack. I went back to the server logs, Faith, the ones Jessica said were deleted. Faith's heart stopped. They were deleted? Nothing is ever truly deleted, Daniel smiled, a grim tech guy smile. Not if you know where to look. I found the ghost files. I found the IP address that authorized the transfer. He turned the screen toward her. The authorization came from a device named CoinJ iPhone 15, geotagged to Jessica's apartment at 2 a.m. Faith stared at the screen. The letters blurred. But there's more, Daniel said. He pulled out his phone. Yesterday, she was drunk at the office party. She thought everyone had left. I was in the server room. I recorded this. He pressed play. Jessica's voice slurring. That fool Faith. She thinks she's praying to God. I framed her for 50 million naira and she's thanking Jesus. I used her password while she was in the bathroom. It was so easy. Faith covered her mouth to stop the scream. Why? She asked Daniel. Why help me now? Because Daniel looked down. She treated me like trash too. And because nobody deserves this. Get up, Faith. We have work to do. What work? The wedding is on Saturday. Zenith Oil is sponsoring it. The whole board will be there. Toby's family, the press. He reached into his bag and pulled out a bundle of cash. Go to a hotel, shower, eat, buy a dress, not a cheap one, a dress that looks like war. I can't go there, Faith whispered. They will throw me out. They won't, Daniel said, because you're coming with me. I'm the DJ. Faith spent the next 48 hours in a blur. She checked into a budget hotel in Ikeja. She scrubbed her skin until it was raw, trying to wash off the smell of the gutter. She ate 3 plates of rice in one sitting. She went to a boutique. She didn't buy white, she bought red, a deep blood red gown that fit her like armor. She looked in the mirror. The gaunt cheeks remained, but the eyes were different. They weren't the eyes of a victim anymore. They were the eyes of a storm. On Friday night, Daniel texted her. Everything is set. The projector is linked to my main console. Be ready at 1 p.m. Faith knelt by the hotel bed. Lord, she prayed, you are not slow. You are waiting for the biggest stage. The Grandeur Event Center in Victoria Island was dripping in crystals. It was the wedding of the year. The theme was royal gold. Senators were there, musicians were there. The entire executive board of Zenith Oil sat at the front tables, looking important. Jessica looked breathtaking. Her gown was imported from Milan, encrusted with Swarovski crystals. Toby looked handsome, but nervous. At 1:15 p.m., during the reception, the doors opened. Faith walked in. She wasn't on the guest list, but the security at the door had been distracted by Daniel. She walked down the center aisle. The red dress flowed around her like liquid fire. Her head was high. A hush fell over the room. It started at the back and rolled forward like a wave. Is that? No, it can't be. Is that the thief? Jessica, sitting at the high table, dropped her fork. Her face went pale beneath the makeup. Faith walked until she stood right in front of the high table. She didn't scream. She didn't throw anything. She just stood there, staring at Jessica. Security, she screeched, standing up. Get this trash out of here. How dare you? Mr. Johnson, the CEO, looked uncomfortable. Toby looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him. You have no shame, Jessica yelled, playing to the crowd. You steal from us, and now you crash my wedding? You are a witch. Suddenly, the music stopped. A screech of feedback tore through the speakers. Daniel's voice boomed from the DJ booth. Ladies and gentlemen, can I have your attention? Jessica glared at the booth. Daniel, play the music. Ignore her. I have a special toast, Daniel said. A gift from the groom's ex-fiancé. The massive LED screens behind the couple, which had been showing photos of their love story, suddenly went black. Then a waveform appeared. What is this? Toby asked, standing up. Then the audio played. Crystal clear. Crystal, wake up. Your God is too slow. I am your God now. The room gasped, a collective intake of breath that sucked the oxygen out of the hole. Jessica froze. Then the second clip played, the one from the server room. I framed her for 50 million naira. I used her password. It was so easy. The screen changed. It showed the server logs, the IP address, the geotag, the timestamps matching the exact moment the money was moved. Then a video. The video from the toll gate. Jessica kneeling mocking Faith. Jessica splashing the water. Mr. Johnson, the CEO, stood up slowly. His face was purple with rage. Toby looked at Jessica. He looked at the ring on her finger. Faith's ring. He looked at the woman he was about to marry. You framed her? Toby whispered. The microphone on the table caught it. You made me abandon her? You made me hate her? It's a lie,
Jessica screamed, but her voice was shaking. It's AI! It's deep fake! It's not AI, Jessica, Daniel said over the mic. I have the metadata. I have the police here. The side doors burst open. 4 officers from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, marched in. They weren't the regular police. These men meant business. Jessica tried to run. She actually tried to run in her 2 million naira ball gown. She tripped over the train and fell hard. She fell right at Faith's feet. The room went deadly silent. Jessica looked up. Faith looked down. The positions were reversed. The queen was in the dust. The beggar was standing tall. Faith, Jessica wept, grabbing Faith's red dress. Faith, please, tell them to stop. Faith looked at the hand clutching her dress, the same hand that had splashed mud on her. Faith leaned down. The microphone on the table picked up her whisper. My God is not slow, Jessica. He just wanted to make sure everyone was watching. The officers grabbed Jessica. They didn't care about the dress. They handcuffed her wrists behind her back. Toby, help me, she screamed as they dragged her away. Toby took off his boutonniere and threw it on the floor. He turned his back. Mr. Johnson walked up to Faith. The CEO looked humbled. Faith, we didn't know. Faith looked at him. You didn't ask. Then she turned and walked out of the hall. She didn't wait for the applause. She didn't wait for Toby to apologize. She walked out into the sunlight.
The video of the wedding went viral before Faith even got back to her hotel. Hashtag Jessica exposed and hashtag God is not slow trended for 3 weeks. Jessica was denied bail. The evidence was overwhelming. She's currently in Kilikiri Maximum Security Prison, awaiting trial for fraud, defamation, and gross misconduct. Her assets were frozen. The G-Wagon was seized. Faith didn't go back to Zenith Towers. They offered her the job back with a 50% raise and a public apology. She declined. Instead, she sued them for wrongful termination and defamation. She won 100 million naira in the settlement. She bought a house. Not in Banana Island, but a nice, quiet bungalow in Magodo. She moved her mother to a private hospital in India for treatment. Mama Faith is alive and well today. Toby tried to come back. He brought flowers, he brought pastors. Faith met him at the gate. I forgive you, she told him, but I cannot forget that when I was drowning, you ate ice cream. She closed the gate.
Faith learned that sometimes you don't need to fight. Sometimes you just need to survive until the truth catches up. Her silence was louder than Jessica's screams. Jessica thought she was untouchable because she had money. She forgot that money is paper, but character is stone. She built her castle on the tears of the innocent, and the flood came. They say justice delayed is justice denied, but in this case, the delay was the design. If Faith had been vindicated earlier, it would have been a private meeting. By waiting 3 days, God ensured the disgrace was as public as the humiliation. To the Faiths, if you are currently in the mud, if you are being mocked, if someone has told you your God is dead, hold on. The phone call is coming. The logs are being recovered. Your Daniel is waking up. To the Jessicas, be careful who you step on while you climbed. The toes you crush today might be attached to the foot that kicks you out tomorrow. To the Tobis, when you see your partner in trouble, ask questions before you judge. Loyalty is easy when things are good. It is tested in the fire. God is never slow. He is just waiting for the wedding. There is an ancient saying, the rain does not fall on one roof alone. Jessica forgot that the same sky that covers the palace covers the pavement. She planted seeds of disgrace in Faith's life, expecting a harvest of destruction. But she forgot that the soil of a clear conscience produces a different fruit. Be careful what you water in the lives of others, for you will eventually eat from that same garden. If this story stirred something in you, please hit that subscribe button and share this video with a friend who needs hope today. Let's keep the conversation going in the comments. Tell me about a time you were vindicated when you thought all hope was lost. Until next time, stay blessed.